Assalamu alaikum. In the last class, we did exercise 5 and 6. So 5 and 6 were basically about this was email and this one was a review. Now I know the sample paper ends over here, but this is not a sample paper actually. It's just a paper that has combined all the particular exercises that it can hold. So now we have article from another paper, but this is the article that we're going to write our answer on. Okay, so let's start reading it. In class, you have been talking about whether it is better to have a big group of friends or just one best friend. So in the class, you guys are going to have a debate on the big group of friends or one best friend. The teacher has asked you to write an article about it. So here are some comments. I can tell my best friend everything. Having lots of friends means having more fun. My group of friends all like different things. It's hard to please everybody in a big group. So these two talk about one best friend. Okay, so they're like, I can tell my best friend everything. It's hard to please everybody in a big group. But some people say that big group means more fun, and then everybody has different tastes, so it's more fun as well. Write an article for your teacher giving your views on this topic, and the comments may give you some ideas, and you can also use some ideas of your own. And your writing should be between 120 and 160 words long. Okay, so let's talk about actually what exactly article writing holds and what can we write on it. Okay, so firstly we need to understand that why do we write an article. We write an article because we want to inform. Okay, we want to inform, or we need want to make them understand, or you can say persuade them. Manipulate want the real term that we would use, but persuade would be better. We want to persuade or inform the reader about a certain topic, about a certain condition, or about a certain perspective. Right now we are discussing about big group and and the one best friend, so that's a viewpoint. And now we have to talk about which viewpoint we find is correct. However, uh, we usually provide a balanced argument so that reader can itself understand both perspectives of the situation, and then they can make some point of view out of it, or make their own opinion out of it. Okay, so these are usually to express some perspective. It can be a positive aspect or it can be a negative one as well. Depends, totally depends on the topic. Like right now we have a big group and one best friend, so there isn't really anything negative or positive here. It's just your own preference. Okay, so it has a similar when Cambridge makes sure of this writing, they always check the content, the language. It has almost the same uh, way of checking as as it has for email and for review writing. Okay, so when we're talking about its language, how do we write an article? So we actually need to think about the audience we have. The audience we have is our teacher right now. So it can be semi formal. It doesn't have to be very formal, or it will not be informal at all. When you are talking to any elder or someone you respect, you are majorly going to talk in a semi formal manner, but like more towards formal rather than informal behavior. And it should be, as I mentioned, that it is a writing that we write for informing or persuading someone. So it should have a persuasive manner or forcing manner or engaging manner as well. It should not be like you have to choose my viewpoint, like my viewpoint is correct. You do not have to be stubborn with it, you need to be engaging with it. And you do not really write very simple sentences out of it. You can also write some complex or compound structure sentences that would be preferred, and a good range of vocabulary is always preferred in these cases. Okay, and we always, what else do I have to mention about this? I think that's how you do it. You start with a, whenever you're writing an article, you start with a, firstly, you write an introduction paragraph. In that main paragraph, you mention what is the main point. Okay, what's the main point or main idea behind that, and you make the reader engage with. Or you can also even ask a question, a rhetorical question. Okay, a rhetorical question could be asked as well. Then you give an opinion. Okay, it's on you that you agree on it or disagree on it. And then you give, once you give an opinion, then you give examples or you even give reasons based on it to make them understand, okay, that either you should focus on this or not. You do not give only one opinion, you give another opinion as well. Okay, so and then in the end you actually write a conclusion, intro, then opinions, and then in the opinions you mention examples or reasons on that why my opinion is correct, and then you conclude it with summarizing whatever you have said and what is your point of view on it. Okay, you can always link it back to the beginning, and then you can make sure that the uh, reader is uh, reader is supporting your own decision as well. Okay, so that's how it happens for it. Just make sure that you do not use any informal behavior, informal text, and you need to make sure that whenever you're writing an article, you have to talk about a wider issue. Okay, so that's usually it's asked. For example, there was this thing that I read that was mm, if some candidate mention about how many how many green spaces or how many parks there are in this city or town, then this does not mean that you have to talk about only green spaces, like only green spaces cannot be only parks. So they need to make sure. I think that was a really bad example that I gave. But basically, you need to have a broader idea when you are talking about something. It should be balanced, and you need to engage with the audience throughout it. Okay, just do not just describe the problem, but try to convince the audience to choose a side. Okay, so that's entirely how you do write an article. Okay, let's move on and see the article. So starting with a main title that I have wrote here, big group or one best friend, what's better? Okay. Have you ever wondered if it's better to have a large circle or of friends or just one best friend? So you see, that was an intro where I actually explained the main idea. And I even added a rhetorical question. So have you ever wondered if it's better to have a large circle of friends or just one best friend you trust completely? So we have explained the main reason, main idea as well. Okay. On one hand, having one best friend can be truly special. You build a strong bond, share secrets, and always know someone has your back. When life gets tough, a best friend often understands you better than anyone else, offering support without judgment. So you see, now I have given my point of view, and I have given some explanation or reasoning behind that to support or solidify my opinion. The opinion was that best friend having one best friend is special. Why is it special? Because when life gets tough, there is someone you have on the back, and they do not judge you. They have your back. They support you. So that's one view, and then that's some reasoning behind that. However, another view, another opinion, having a big group of friends can also be fun and exciting. Why is it exciting? Why is it fun? Now you are going to convince that. You get to enjoy different opinions, different interests, activities. Group outings are really rarely boring. Like they're not boring at all. You're always having so much fun with so many type of people. Someone is there to laugh, and makes fun out of makes fun with each other. Okay, and there's always someone to hang out with. You're never alone. Plus, you can learn how to cooperate and communicate with different personalities. You get to have multiple tastes. So now you gave a view, and then you actually convinced the reader with some reasoning. That there were some reasons over here and some reasons over here. Okay, now personally, now there is another point of view that's not the opposite one, but it's just talking to the previous ones. Personally, I believe both options have value, but I would choose one best friend. A deep, trusting connection with someone who truly listens is rare and priceless. So, what about you? Would you rather have one true friend or many? So, in this way, now you can understand how this happened. We gave two views. We gave the first view that having one best friend is amazing. We gave the reasoning. We talked about the another point of view. We gave the reasoning. Now, in the end, then we concluded back when we were talking about our own preference. That's our own preference, and then we are solidifying it. Okay, that I believe that this is the best thing. You know that having a group is best. Having one best friend is also best. But I believe that one best friend is amazing. So, what about you? Would you rather have one true friend or many? So this line is again engaging the reader to go back to the same question again and wonder if it is better to have a large circle of friends or just one best friend. So this is a very engaging and interacting article that the teacher could read. So that's how it was written. And if you notice, it's not really formal and it is not informal at all. So it's a semi-formal writing that was directed to a teacher in this scenario. So that's how you would write it. Okay. I hope this all of this is clear. Now we'll move on to the next question that is about a report. So let's read it. You and your class recently spent a weekend at an activity center where students could try different outdoor sports such as sailing and rock climbing. Okay, you and your class recently spent a weekend at an activity center where students could try different outdoor sports such as sailing and rock climbing. Now your teacher has asked you to write a report about the activity weekend. Can your report say what was enjoyable about the activity weekend and suggest how it could be improved? These are some comments. It was great. It was fun. We could not try all the sports. So he's sad. He's having fun. The meals were too small, so he's sad as well. Let's see. And I love the accommodation. One said, I love the accommodation. Now write a report for your teacher about the activity weekend. The comments may give you some ideas. You should also use some of your own. Okay, let me keep it over here. So you went on an activity weekend and you're going to write in your report how you can enjoy it fully and how it could be so much fun. So firstly, we're going to look at how report writing works and what's the reason behind report writing, and then we're going to deep into the exercise that I wrote, the answer that I wrote for better understanding. Okay. So firstly, whenever you are writing a report, you need to make an entire plan about it. Firstly, as a title as well, and then you talk about there's actually four parts in it. You have a title, then you have an introduction paragraph, then you have a findings paragraph, then you have a suggestions paragraph. Okay, idea, you can also say ideas or you can also say improvement for this one. Okay, so these are basically how it works. So title has to be brief and relevant. And then when we're talking about the introduction, in the introduction we talk about the 5 W's and H. 5 W's and H. So what are the 5 W's? 5 W's are what, where, when, why, what is also already done, who, and how. So these are the 5 W's and one H that should be discussed or can be answered in the introduction paragraph. An introduction has to be concise. It cannot be so long and it needs to be very strong one. Then you organize your body. In the finding paragraph, you actually add two positive changes and two areas of improvement. So you can also say two positive aspects and two negative aspects that could be improved, and then you conclude it with the report. And in the report, you cannot mention your own thoughts or own beliefs because report has to be very direct. It has to be straightforward. It should have facts and opinions as it is that were known. And the language that report writing offers is has to be formal. It is going to be really formal. Okay, so let's say uh, if I talk about it more, what else is remain that I haven't discussed yet? Okay, yeah. So it's not. If you remember when we were talking about the review writing, so review writing was subjective. But report writing is objective. That whatever it has been done, you have to write it as it is. And then you also need to make sure that there is some sense of cohesion. There should not be a breakage in the logical flow. It should be in a continuous manner. And make sure to not extend your writing as well, because it's really crucial to take care of that as well. So I think that's it. We can also go back and now just go through the passage. So, okay, so there it is. Report on the activity weekend. Let me minimize it a little. Okay. Report on the activity weekend at the outdoor center. Mm, The purpose of this report is to review our recent class weekend at the outdoor activity center and provide suggestions for future improvement. Feedback has been gathered for students who participated. So this is the basic title, report on the activity weekend at the outdoor center. It's very concise, it's very brief, it's relevant as well. So these are some necessary points in the title that was being done. Now this is the introduction. An introduction should talk about the purpose of this report, why, that answers the why. The purpose of this report is to review our recent class weekend. At where? At the outdoor activity. And a class weekend would answer when. You get recent class weekend or recent class weekend at the outdoor activity center and provide suggestion for future improvement. Feedback has been gathered for students who participated. Okay, so it answers the why, it answers the when, it answers the what as well. So this, it provides what, it answers the what as well. What is remaining? Who? Who? So students who participated would answer the part who, and the remaining was how. It was feedback has been gathered, like future improvements. How is it done? Through feedback. So you see, this way, everything has been covered. All the 5 W's and H is covered. You say why, the purpose, when this weekend, and where the outdoor activity. Provide suggestion for what are we talking about? Provide suggestions for future improvements. And how we're going to provide that? We're going to provide that through feedback. And who is going to provide that? That's who? That's the students who participated. Okay. Now we're going to talk about positive experiences, two positive experiences, two negative experiences, or you can say areas for improvement, and then you conclude it. It's the same way the way I explained it earlier. So when we're talking about the positive experiences, many students found the weekend highly enjoyable. So they found it enjoyable. A wide range of outdoor sports such as rock climbing and sailing offered both physical challenge and excitement. It provided a refreshing break from academic pressure. So that's one point, that there were wide range of outdoor sports. The next point is the accommodation received very positive feedback. Students appreciated the clean and spacious rooms along with the relaxing environment, which made the stay pleasant and comfortable. So if you notice, this is a simple sentence, as in the sentence structure, and this is not a simple. This is a compound or complex sentence. So the sentence structure. So this way you can see how we have a varied sentence structure that has been used, and the title, the headings, everything is very formal over here, and it is very direct as well. We're not talking behind the bars, like as in we're not talking very uh, in a gibberish manner or in a confused manner. It's very straightforward. So areas for improvement: despite the overall success, some aspects could be improved. Several students mentioned that the meal portion were small, especially considering the physical exertion involved in the activities. Larger or more frequent meals are recommended. And some said that they were unable to try every sport due to scheduling issues. And in conclusion, the trip was well received, with a few improvements needed to enhance future experiences. So that's how you write a report. That's how a report should be written. Okay. Now moving on to our last question here, that is an essay. Okay. At school, you have been discussing the ways that teenagers spend their free time. your teacher wants you to write an essay for the school magazine. In your essay, discuss voluntary work and how it can benefit students. Here are some comments. Volunteering gives young people plenty of skills for the futures. It makes me angry when people believe that I do nothing to help others. So these are 2 points that should be talked about. Now write an essay for the school magazine. The comments above may give you some ideas, and you should also use some ideas of your own. Write about 120 to 160 words. That is the necessary thing at all points. So you need to make sure that you are going to write all the points within the limit. So now again, let's talk about why an essay is important and how do we write an essay. So the main purpose or idea about essays, you are going to present your argument or your point of view, and then you are going to give examples to support it. And this topic will be a question or an issue which people generally have very different opinions about. And in the essay could present both sides of the argument, or maybe just one. It totally depends on the instructions that are given in the task. An essay could be written in a formal or neutral register, okay, like as a neutral tone, formal tone as well as a neutral tone. Anything could be used. You start with an introduction, then you talk about the main body, and then you add a conclusion, and then you also make some other paragraphs in the main body as well, that would include some proper language and proper content for your opinions, whether you are agreeing or disagreeing. And some vocabulary is really needed in the essay portion as well. Okay, so whenever you're writing an essay, you need to think about the audience that the essay is for. Right now this essay is for the teacher asks you, and try to keep it formal. Okay, plus your essay should present your opinions as well. uh, it also is kind of similar to how we just wrote the report was something that was a formal structured direct way where we were giving our opinions, but it is very different than the report itself, because you do not present your argument, you do not convince them for an argument. Similarly, we just did article writing. In the article writing, we were also convincing to some extent. That is why all of these topics like report writing, not email, except for email, all the four of them are quite relevant and they can get easily mixed up as well. But try to identify what exactly do you have to write it. So an essay should be well organized. It should have an introduction, a body, and conclusion, that as I mentioned earlier, and it should also have a linking way. That if one body, let's say you're going to write one body, and then when this body ends over here, it should not be very different than the next part of the body. It should have a cohesiveness, cohesion should be present. There should be a flow within it. So how do we actually write the main body? Okay, so let me tell you about that. So introduction, we know that we actually briefly explain and talk about our argument that in the essay that we'll discuss. We engage the reader to make them interested in the topic. For example, we ask a rhetorical question or make a point, or anything that will give some impact. Or it could be something emotional as well. And then you present in the main body, you present one side of the topic, because in an essay, when you usually write an essay when there is mixed ideas or very general opinions, right? So right now we have very different way of how one person is saying that volunteering give young people plenty of skills for the future. On the other hand, someone else has a very different strong opinion on that. So you support your one idea, and then you talk about the other idea as well, and then you also support it with some examples or some reasoning. And in the end, in the conclusion part, or over here, what you do is you briefly summarize whatever you have said and what you think, and then you link it back. Okay, plus this is just one way of writing an essay. You can also write an essay when you just take one side. You just present one side of the argument. You supported that. In that case, the pattern, the way you structure your essay would be the same, but it will be extended, or maybe you can have a smaller paragraphs as well. It really depends on how you reason it, how strongly you reason your point of view. All right. So that's it for this essay part. And now let's talk about writing. Okay. Let me move the. Should teenagers spend their free time volunteering? I just put this point myself, so we're going to start over here. Many people believe that teenagers waste their free time on social media or watching TV. But what if this time was used for something more meaningful like volunteering? Now, you're giving a reader, you're engaging a reader actually, you're giving them a thought, a food for thought. No, a food for thought. I don't know, I've heard of this phrase, I forgot. A food of thought, a food for thought, a thought of food. No, food. It's something like you're giving them a thought as a food so that they can think over it. I forgot the phrase. So please, sorry about that. Actually, let me search for it. Thought, food for thought. I was right. That's the idiom. Something to think about, something to ponder over. So yes, I was right at it. Okay, I was. So that we gave the readers a food for thought. Food for thought. Now they're engaged. Now they're interested. Okay, what if I use my time to something meaningful, like volunteering? Now we're going to talk about a good side of volunteering. Volunteering offers many benefits. Firstly, it helps young people develop important skills. These skills are not useful in school but also prepare students for future jobs. Not only, for example, now you're going to add an example to support your point of view. Working in a charity shop teaches the responsibility and improves confidence when dealing with customers. Okay, one positive aspect has been done. Moreover, volunteering gives teenagers a sense of purpose. It shows them that they can make a difference even in small ways. Helping each other can improve their self esteem and reduce stress. It also helps change the negative opinion. This is also a positive aspect, which also talks about a negative aspect in this. So it also helps change the negative opinion that many adults have about young people doing nothing useful. So you see how I structured this essay. Now in the conclusion that is going to talk about what we said earlier, it's going to summarize it. In conclusion, I strongly believe that voluntary work is a great way for students to use their free time. It benefits both the community and the students, making it a valuable experience. So in this essay, I did not go for the approach of intro, then positive aspect, then negative aspect, then conclusion. Instead, I went for intro, then positive aspect, then another positive aspect, and then conclusion. Because I think that there is nothing wrong about volunteering. So that is why this was my way of writing. You could have also written it in a positive, negative aspect in an essay. But when you're writing an essay, usually you're trying to convince others for your point of view. You're not writing an article where you are going to talk about everything. So, in my opinion, such a point of view is better. Or you could have also gone something like that, that you start with an introduction to tell how volunteering is not good. Like you're wasting your time. You're not doing something productive. Probably you could, instead of volunteering, you can do an internship so you can get money from it, or you can do a job, or you can do something that will give you some benefit rather than just experience, which I personally think is not good. Volunteering is a really good thing. But if you think you can write something like that, and then these will be 2 points that you will write, and then you conclude it, and you have to just express your views in an essay format. So that's how you would write an essay as well. Okay, so here it is, and this PDF ends over here. And now we are done with this topic. Okay.